Oh, it wasn't doing it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Test yours.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, it's working.
And you can just cut it out, right?
Yep, I will just cut it out. All right, so dude, there's no intro song. God damn it.
If we go back
Nah, it's okay.
to Stephanie's now,
We'll just do another intro.
we
We
could go to Stephanie's right now then. Like,
No,
just switch over.
It's okay. I'll get the intro from the other podcast.
Can you?
Yeah,
But doesn't it have us talking in the background?
No, yeah, but it's a separate.
File?
Yeah.
Oh, a little. Okay. Cool.
So,
Yeah.
and Juan sent it to me before actually, just that song by itself.
Okay.
So it's just weird because I'm so used to having this song, right? But it's fine. Woo. All right. So intro. I'm just thinking. I'm just. All right. Like.
Take your time. Take your time.
I haven't done this for a long time now.
Yeah, I mean it's been what, like 2 months almost?
Yeah.
Since our last one.
Fucking
That's
long
crazy,
time.
dude.
I mean, like, yeah. So, hey guys, welcome to Beer Break. My name is Albie, and I'm here with my friend Carlos. Now, you may be wondering why we're releasing an episode after so many months of not doing it, and unfortunately, life just got crazy. You know, we've had a lot of shakeups. Recently, one of our best friends, Juan, who was main part of this podcast, he moved to San Antonio for another job.
Yeah. Although he'll still be a part of our of a couple episodes here and there.
Yeah, he'll still be a part of it. And I guess these past 2 months, part of it was us thinking of how, you know,
pretty much the entire dynamic of the podcast changes now that, you know, we go from 4 people to just 2 people.
Yeah.
And we lose one person who kind of encouraged all of us to drink and stuff like that. Like, it definitely changed the pace of the podcast, so we needed some time to figure it out.
Yeah, and then we work in the movie industry, quote unquote movie industry. We work at Draft House, and you know, this summer has been crazy. You know, all these movies been breaking records left and right, and it's given us a real ass whooping.
Yeah.
Recently, we've been watching, obviously, a lot of movies, and we've watched a lot of things. We'll talk about some things. Do you want to talk about, like, that movie you're talking about?
The movie? Then You Came.
Yeah,
right.
That one.
Yeah, cool, because, we've definitely been busy throughout, you know, the summer. Like Abby said, summer's been kicking our ass, but doesn't mean we don't watch movies. We've watched pretty much every big blockbuster film that's come out. Mm-hmm. So besides blockbusters, I did watch a interesting movie yesterday. I finished it up this morning. It's It's called Then You Came, and it's basically about Maisie Williams, you know, being ill. She has cancer. You know, she doesn't have a lot of time left to live. And then there's this other kid. I don't know his name. I know his last name Butterfield. That's the only thing.
It's like Asa Butterfield.
Yeah, so something like that. There you go. That guy. He came out in Ender's Game.
Yeah.
There's a proper word for it, but he basically always thinks he's sick. He goes to the doctor all the time. He feels like, you know, he's dying, when there's really nothing wrong with him. So basically, it's just two friends, kind of showing each other how to live again, and it was actually very heartfelt and fun to watch. Like, I actually teared up towards the end, and not a lot of movies make me do that. So definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's a good watch.
That's really cool. I've heard of that before, and you said Maisie Williams comes out, right?
Yeah. It's a little annoying to see her as a character she is there, because she's like very peppy and like kind of annoying. And
okay.
You're used to seeing her as Arya, so like seeing her like that at first, it takes some getting used to, because you're just like, why are you acting like this?
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, that sounds like a really cool movie. I've heard of it. There's so much stuff, you know what I mean, that Netflix has, and it's like, oh my god, where am I gonna start? But I'll take that into advisement to watch. But recently, what I've been watching, I've been watching a lot of movies with my brother. We watched recently. God damn, there's been a lot, but let me see if I can go through some. We watched Sunshine. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I haven't.
Sunshine. It's the one with Chris Evans comes out in it.
Sunshine.
Yeah, it's called Sunshine. It's directed by Danny Boyle, who interestingly enough, also directed Yesterday. I don't know if you guys have heard of that movie. Yesterday.
That's the only summer movie I didn't see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me. I haven't had time to watch it either. My brother watched it. He said it was really good.
Sunshine movie. Cool.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
No?
I'm looking at it right now. I've never seen it.
So it's really cool because that movie, basically what it's about is it's like this crew that's going to the sun because the sun is dying out. Even though realistically that wouldn't happen for a trillion years, but the sun is dying out, right? So they're going there to kind of reactivate it. On the way of reactivating it, they find out a lot of things. They find out what happened to the original expedition that went and failed. They find out, but also it also deals with kind of like the motivations of each character and how they deal with being thrown something so like, kind of like fatalistic in a sense, because there's no guarantee that they'll make it back to Earth. You know what I mean? And just the way it explores that through each of these caricatures that they make, because they're basically like, you got like your brainy dude, and you got your up and coming person, and you got your it's all about the mission, and you got your leader and all that kind of stuff, and seeing how all of these different people react to this, kind of like end of the line mission. It's interesting to watch, and then it goes into very like philosophical, deep themes about kind of like existentialism and all that kind of stuff. It's really fascinating.
It sounds interesting. I'm looking at the cast and
I have it on my Plex.
Oh, nice.
That's where I watched
Definitely watch that.
And then I watched In Bruges. In Bruges. That's what it's called, In Bruges. And dude, it's a movie. It's Colin Farrell comes out in it, and the guy who plays Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter movies.
Okay.
He comes out in it, and the one who plays Voldemort comes out in it. And they're basically assassins who go to Bruges because they just came back from an assignment, and they're waiting to get their next assignment. And the story is basically like them getting bored in Bruges. Now, it sounds like it's a very like basic kind of like boring movie, but it's actually, dude, it's super funny.
So
like,
so it's a funny movie.
Yeah, it's a comedy movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, there's this one part where he's like, "Hey, Harry, aren't you glad you're?" No, it's not Harry. It's, I forgot the name, but he's like, "Aren't you glad that you're in Bruges?" And he's like, Colin Farrell's like, he's like, I wasn't raised in a fucking farm. I'm not retarded. Maybe if I was retarded, I find Bruges fascinating. It's just like what, or there's one part where Voldemort, or the guy who plays Voldemort, right? He the guy's talking to him, and he tells him something that pisses him off, and then he starts banging the phone on the door like he's breaking it, and his wife goes in, and she tells him, "It's an inanimate fucking object." And then he says, "You're an inanimate fucking object." You guys, like, that's how pissed he gets. It's, oh man, it's a hilarious movie. Like,
I'm guessing this is on your Plex as well.
Yeah, it's on my Plex. Yeah, it's called In Bruges. Yeah, it's super hilarious. And then lastly, there's other movies, but I think those two were the highlights. And lastly, I watched Transformers movies again with my brother. Dude, it's really interesting because the movies are pretty bad, right? But like visually, what Michael Bay does, I don't think it's appreciated enough, because if you see the visual effects on those movies, dude, they still hold up. Not only do they hold up, it looks so freaking real. And then I'm looking at Transformers 1. It came out in 2007. And it looks more real than some movies that come out now.
That's like, what?
It's
12 years ago?
14...
That was... Oh, shit, no. Why do I have my fucking...
No. 12 years ago.
Oh, it is? Dude, I was fucking 12 years old.
Yeah.
God damn.
You were 12?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I was like
24
14.
now. Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. But it's amazing. Just like, I think Michael Bay, I was watching this video where they basically talk about like how Michael Bay, he's so good at doing like cinematography. He's so good at doing action choreography, especially for things that aren't real, like Transformers, right? but he has a lot of camera angles that you would put in a movie because maybe you're trying to show that this person is like the villain or something like that.
Mhm.
But he'll do it when nothing really like that is going on. So they say that he's often a detriment to himself. You know, he's so technically good, but because he has his mind in the wrong place in terms of just like he wants everything to be aesthetically pleasing, it doesn't always make sense. You know, so like me myself, if I was like a director, I would totally hire Michael Bay just so he could do like my action.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because he is super good at that.
yeah. I got to rewatch all those so I can kind of like reappreciate them.
Yeah, it's really great.
So a movie I saw recently, I saw it not yesterday, day before yesterday, was Rush Hour 3 again. So like I just rewatched it because I was looking for a particular scene, but it looks like I got the wrong Rush Hour. And it was when there's that Asian chick on the floor that he just knocked out. It's Chris Tucker. And he's like standing above her. And he's like, we could have had something special or
he's
whatever.
like, we could have had kids. We could have.
Yeah.
It could have been beautiful.
You see, so the
But
whole
no,
movie,
you're a crazy bitch.
the entire fucking movie, I was waiting for that one part, and
That's
turns
part
out that
two.
it was in part 2.
Yeah.
Right? But rewatching it, brought back some good memories of, when I did watch it. And me and Stephanie were watching it together, and she mentions how, like, Chris Tucker was pretty much like the Kevin Hart back then. And kind of rewatching it, man, like, they're very similar with the way they talk and,
He's very funny.
the way they, their jokes and their, like, little comebacks and shit. It was literally like watching almost, Kevin Hart.
Yeah, definitely as an actor, he's definitely like Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
As, somebody who works,
Mm-hmm.
not at all. I mean, because...
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because Kevin Hart by now has come out like in 15 movies.
Oh, yeah. But
Chris Tucker literally only has 5 movies. Like
5
the
movies.
3 Rush Hours, and then I think Money Talks or something like that, and then this other one,
That's crazy.
and then a stand-up special with Netflix,
Oh, okay.
and that's it. So I don't know if it's because he's been doing something else,
Mm-hmm.
like working in a different part of the industry that's not acting,
Yeah, I mean,
or if he's just been lazy. I don't know.
seeing other Rush Hours are definitely all super entertaining.
Yeah,
but
dude, they really are.
are they really good? Like, probably not really, really good, and that's probably why. I guess we haven't seen him more. I didn't even know that he didn't come out in those many movies.
Yeah, he only comes out in those few. But so when you're talking about Rush Hour, about it, not being like the best. I mean, that's exactly the problem that Jackie Chan had with when he was filming Rush Hour. It was that there was a lot of comedy, American comedy, that he was just like, I don't get it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's because a lot of American comedy is just mouthing off jokes.
Yeah.
And while that is funny in the moment, with time that doesn't hold up that well. You know what I mean? And Jackie Chan has always been about physical comedy, like Buster Keaton, and people still talk about Buster Keaton. At least people who are trying to explore like what's good comedy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you see it in some places in some movies because physical comedy is ageless. You know what I mean? Watching someone hit themselves on the head, if done in the right way, it's gonna be funny.
Yeah.
It was funny then, it will be funny now, and that's kind of like the comedy that Jackie Chan is more about. And you can see it in Rush Hour. Like, he doesn't fight like super like expert martial arts person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he makes mistakes and stuff like that.
I think one of the style they kind of go with is like I guess if you label that kind of like fighting style, it's like a drunken kung fu almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
big.
need to get
Well,
off
he actually has one. I think it's called. I actually don't remember now what it's called exactly. I think it's called the Drunken Master or something like that.
That
I have it
sounds
on Plex.
that sounds vaguely like familiar, so I'm pretty sure that's the
Mhm.
thing.
If you want to see more stuff like that, or like physical comedy and Jackie Chan,
It was the police one, right? That you talked about
Yeah.
a couple of podcasts
the
ago.
police
Yeah.
story, yeah,
And that's on Plex.
yeah, it's on Moplex. All right, so talking about enough of the movies that we watched. And in general, we talk about these movies because I feel like, we go back, we revisit some, or we see some new ones, and we're like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed this, or
Yeah.
I can't believe, I don't appreciate this more. And I think
Exactly.
that's-
I think when I watched a lot of the movies back in the day before I worked at Alamo, didn't really appreciate them much. Just watched them for what they were, and then going back and rewatching them, there's definitely some things you're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, that's
Yeah.
fucking badass, or that's, hilarious, or whatever. You just learn to appreciate them just a little bit more.
Yeah. So our hope is that, with these movies that we watch, maybe it gives you guys a recommendation for a movie night. Because frankly, if a movie is terrible or whatever, we'll tell you. But for the most part, all these movies have been enjoyable to a certain extent. You know?
Yeah. Are they good as far as like acting and whatever you want to say, CGI, whatever? And probably not all the time, but I mean they're definitely entertaining movies and
entertaining for sure.
Movies you all should check out.
So going from those movies, something that we've been also watching is a lot of the trailers that have been coming out. Now, of course, obviously, that we're in this week, we're going to talk about the trailers that just recently come out. And one of the first trailers we watched was Top Gun Maverick, which is a sequel to the original Top Gun. That's like 40 years in the making?
Yeah,
or 30
probably.
years. I mean, because it came out, I think it was 87, so...
A long fucking time ago. Here, I'll fact
2007.
check you real quick. Well, while I search it up, right now we are drinking a Game of Thrones inspired beer by Omegang.
For the Throne.
Yeah, it's called For the Throne. It is a golden ale co-fermented with Pinto Grigio. So,
Kitty cat, stay back.
hey, fuck off.
Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck. So, with that said, it's definitely on the sweeter side, not very hoppy at all. Not very malty either. It's definitely a weird beer. It's more on the sweeter side. Kind of like if you're drinking some sort of wine. Definitely refreshing, very crisp.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, back to Top Gun. Top Gun came out in 1986.
Oh, okay, so close enough.
Yeah.
86, so 96, 2006, 2016, so 33 years? God
Yeah,
damn,
just about,
dude.
damn.
Well, actually, 34 years once it comes out in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But, yeah, so looking at it, I've never seen the original Top Gun.
Neither have I.
Which
Throwing
sucks.
that there. Sorry if, Jaime is
Oh.
listening to this because Jaime fucking loves Top Gun.
yeah. But knowing what I know about the original Top Gun and seeing the sequel trailer, it doesn't seem to have a lot to say, and I'm not sure if it's because it's trying to avoid spoilers, because maybe where the story was headed from part one, if it was headed in any place, might give too many spoilers away.
I think it was labeled as like a sneak peek, right, or something like that, or like
It's a
early look
teaser
into it,
trailer,
a teaser.
yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't expect much from it.
But visually,
Yeah,
seeing Tom Cruise, at least it seems like Tom Cruise is on the jet, actually flying the jet. It looks freaking amazing. Like,
it does.
You don't have shots like that anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when he's taking off from the carrier ship,
yeah.
that looked fucking cool. And then when they're kind of like maneuvering through the mountains, dude,
Mhm.
damn, dude.
And it's funny. Like, I recently saw an interview that Jeff Daniels had. You know who Jeff Daniels is?
No.
So he's the one who in Dumb and Dumber. He's not Jim Carrey. He's the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Harry, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
is
I know who you're
Harry.
talking about. Long hair, blonde. Yeah.
He talks about like how he didn't want to be an actor. He was like, in his 40s, doing the action thing that he did when he was young, continue to just catch on to that, because you're not acting, you're not doing something different, you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So slightly kind of like referring to Tom Cruise, because that's exactly what Tom Cruise is doing. He's been
That sounds like him.
Yeah, he's been in that action route. And while yes, I feel like maybe as an actor, in terms of acting chops, he hasn't really done anything that different because he's been doing that. I do think that there's a lack of appreciation for like the stunt work that he does.
Yeah, definitely.
And seeing the Top Gun, what he's doing with the jets and stuff, it's freaking.
Yeah, because you told me that he's actually taking off from the jet, right? Like when it's
And
taking off from the ship.
I mean, the camera is like right on the jet. So
Yeah.
guys, if you watch the trailer, the camera is literally on, like, in the front of the jet, looking at Tom Cruise, and he's taking off, and the environment and everything is going away as it should be when a jet takes off. And I would be surprised if that was CGI, because it looks freaking real.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's some shots where you see like the planes doing like some formations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's real.
You think he's in there?
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, like he might be like with somebody in there just to like for safety purposes.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he's flying the jet, and that's just that's crazy.
I mean, I think that is something to appreciate, because he does most of the stunts in like Mission Impossible, right?
That's pretty much all of them. From
Yeah.
what I know, he's done every
Yeah.
single one.
Isn't there one where he's hanging off like a fucking plane and he's just?
That's in part 5.
Part
Yeah,
five?
he's
Yeah.
hanging on the plane. I mean, he's obviously held by wires, but he's outside the plane.
That's great.
You know what I mean? And it's interesting. After part 3, he got so sick and tired of the producers not wanting him to do the stunts that he was like, okay, screw you, and he started producing the movies himself, so he could have to say like, I'm gonna do the stunts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So yeah, Top Gun looks pretty cool. Don't know what it's trying to do story wise, although it does look like Maverick himself is trying to like, he's stuck as being a captain. He's not an admiral or lieutenant or anything like that. So another one that we saw was Jay and Silent Bob Reboot trailer.
Yeah.
What did you think about that one?
I mean, I remember watching that movie as a kid. Do I remember the entire like plot and story and all that? I don't. But it's really cool to see them coming back with a reboot, because now I want to go back and watch the original movie, because they call it a reboot, but they're picking up like years later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's super cool. Like Jay has a daughter now.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be super funny to see.
All I remember from the original was the beginning where Jay's outside the store. He's like, fuck,
Yeah.
motherfucker, fuck. Like, that's like the song that they're doing.
Yeah, you see, and me and my brother used to watch the movie over and over, and I don't remember much of it. So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. Now I need to
Watch it again.
go back and watch it, so that when I do watch the reboots, I know exactly what's going on, because it looks like they kept all the same actors, right? Like from the original movie.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, because even Jason Lee is there. He's the one that played Earl from My Name Is Earl, and he's there. And Ben Affleck, I saw him in there, and I saw Matt Damon in there, and
then
even the girl, like the one that he had the kid with, it's the same one.
Exactly. So like his girlfriend, right?
I forgot what her name was, but she comes out of American Pie. I don't know if you guys listening know who that is.
Oh, okay. So her name is Shannon Elizabeth.
There you go.
Yeah, she comes out in American Pie in a
something.
Scary Movie as Buffy.
Yeah.
It's a fucking scary movie, man. Just seeing the movie poster reminds me a lot of watching that for the first time.
And then the other one, Good Boys.
Oh, this is that one. Yeah. So this is. I think they just released the Red Band trailer either this morning or yesterday.
Another one, yeah.
Another one. What was the original trailer? Red Band 2?
There was a Red Band.
Yeah. So if you all haven't watched the second trailer to Good Boys, watch it. It looks like it's gonna be hilarious. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, Seth Rogen is pretty much producing the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that they have these young kids, talking about and doing some of the shit they're doing in the movie, in the trailer, it's gonna be hilarious, man.
Talking a lot about sex and other stuff. And
you all see.
There's even one part where like the kid's like, she's a nymphomaniac. And he's like, what does that mean? It's like, it's a nymphomaniac. It means she has sex on land and sea.
Yeah, dude. And then,
like, what?
They search up kissing videos online, and it turns out they're watching like
porn.
Some guy lick some girl's asshole or something.
Yeah.
God damn it, man! Like, the things these kids are exposed to making this movie is hilarious, and then they have a hilarious little sister, which I'm excited to see, how she performs in the movie, but basically comes in and like, hey, let me be part of your. I forget what she calls.
Yeah, she says,
their team.
Hey, can I be part of your camp? I'll grow a little penis just like you.
The little girl's hilarious, man. So that one actually comes out, I think, August 16th, and I'm super excited to watch that one.
Yeah. I mean, I would be really interested in how they made the movie, because I know like usually when you have kids and you're dealing with like a coarse language and stuff, what they'll do is they'll do shot reverse shot. So whenever it's you saying the cuss word, the kid's not there, and whenever it's the kid reacting, he's just reacting to nothing.
No, I mean, these kids look like they're balls deep in this thing.
Yeah, I know, it does seem like so. Like, yeah, I'll be interested to see like how far they went in terms of like, because I'm pretty sure there might be some stuff where they still kept them like in the dark as to what they were, because. Yeah, I mean, some stuff is... But, I mean
if they're talking about, like, licking assholes and shit,
I know,
the little girl saying, I can grow a penis.
Yeah, that's the crazy
that,
part.
Dude. Like, I'm pretty sure they're, highly involved.
It's going to be fun to see.
It's actually trending pretty okay. It has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, God so... For a funny movie, I think that'll be...
Yeah, that's really good.
That'll do well.
So, another trailer that we saw was the new It 2 trailer. And so, what did you think about?
Man, there's just so much going on in it. I've never watched the original It. Well, I did, but I think I was too young and too much of a little bitch to remember what exactly was happening.
Yeah.
So I definitely have a lot of questions because I've heard some stuff, and but there's so much going on in the trailer, and it just looks fucking intense, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job, from the beginning with Pennywise, the way they create him and everything. I mean, shit. Like, I'm excited. Like, I'm definitely excited for this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the original. Well, I mean, I've seen the original. I haven't seen the new the first one.
The 2017.
Yeah, 2017 one. Just seen the trailer of the second one. Dude, it looks like there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
Dude.
Like, and it's cool because I think there's some things that the TV version couldn't do because budgetary, restraints. And this one, they have no budget restraints whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm really excited, especially to see all those actors, James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain.
And what was really cool is that when the first one came out, everybody was kind of like predicting who would be the adult versions, and they pretty much chose the majority of them.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
That was really fucking cool.
Yeah. Now, we'll be talking about the scariest trailer, even scarier than it.
Oh shit! Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And it's the Tom Hopper's. I think that's his name. Tom Hooper. Or Tom. Oh, actually, let me look. Well, basically, it's this dude, the one who made Les Miserables, whatever. And he also did the King's Speech. Now he's doing what supposedly he wanted to do for a long time, which is a full movie production of the Broadway musical Cats. Now, that sounds great, right? But when you see the trailer,
fucking terrifying. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So I was actually laying down
Mm-hmm.
last night, and Stephanie was like, "Hey, you want to see something that's pretty scary?" And I'm just like, "Okay." Thought she was gonna show me something, and she showed me the trailer to Cats, and holy shit, man, it's unsettling. Like it's pretty fucking weird. Like I couldn't, even give it a chance. Like, okay, well maybe the storyline will be good. Like, no, it looks fucking creepy as fuck, man. Like there's nothing like a human fucking cat or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's
no, yeah.
It was definitely unsettling, unnerving. It was
Tom
weird.
Hooper is his name.
Hooper.
Yeah, he made Les Miserables and King's Speech. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it sucks because when you look at if you look at the trailer, like, there's a lot of great like cinematography in it. There's a lot of great visual effects in a sense, but the thing is that so the cinematography is still being used well, but the visual effects are being used to the detriment of the film because you have these human-like cats who it's not like like Skyrim where you have like the Khajiits where it's basically a cat head on a human body, but you never see the body, so it just looks like a humanoid cat.
Mm-hmm.
But here it looks like a cat humanoid, like they put a person's face on a cat. And the thing is, I think that if they just stuck to costumes, it would have been better, just like the actual play. But I can see why he wanted to do this because, visual effects is something that's, kind of unique to film. You can't really do that on plays. But it just doesn't look good. But what's interesting, though, is that I feel that some of them are okay. Like, if you look at any of the old actors that come out in it, like Judi Dench, she's the one who plays, she comes out in all the 007 movies. She's like the old lady who talks to James Bond all the time.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
She comes out in that trailer, and Ian McKellen, the one who plays Gandalf, also comes out in the trailer. If you look at them, they look like they have just like prosthetics on their faces. And stuff. And it looks good, right? But when you go to the actual main characters, like the girl who comes out in most of the trailer, the white cat, and then even Taylor Swift's cat, and then Idris Elba's cat, it just looks like unintentionally creepy, and I don't know what Universal is expecting. Like, I think people might actually watch it just for that creep factor, but after that, I don't think people are gonna really. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's
I mean, it'd be surprising for somebody to be like, "Oh, I like the way that looks," because it looks fucking creepy, man. I'm kind of scrolling through some pictures right now, and oh man, it'd be tough to look at like a whole hour to 2 hours of this shit.
It makes me wonder, like, what was it in the studio? Like, did no one say, like, when they were watching, the reels and stuff, at least after the visual effects were sort of semi-done, like, didn't anybody be like, oh, man, that looks kind of creepy? You know what I mean? Like, but maybe they weren't. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It seems like there's, you always hear about studios having their hands in movies and stuff, and it seems like this one is not one of them. You know,
Yeah.
so I would imagine a producer who doesn't know. As always, producers don't really know too much about movies. If they would have seen this, it would have been like, what?
Yep, definitely.
But I don't know. You know, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, those are all the trailers we've seen. Most of them are really interesting and watchable, and we want to see them when they come out, except for Cats, which looks frightening as hell.
Yeah, we just thought it'd be a good mention since it was fucking weird.
Yeah. Now, from movie trailers, we've seen, obviously, like Carlos mentioned earlier, we've seen a lot of the current movies that have been coming out. And we wanted to talk about the one that is the main course of discussion this weekend, which is Lion King. So you saw Lion King yesterday, right?
Yeah, I did see it yesterday.
What did you think of it?
I mean, I definitely enjoyed it for the most part. I don't think I have a lot of complaints. I know you know, analyze it a little bit further than I do. I didn't really have a lot of problems. I actually enjoyed watching it because Stephanie was super into it. Like, so Lion King is one of her favorite movies, right? You know, the original. And, you know, seeing her, like, super into it and, you know, like, for her, like, this was probably the most exciting movie of the entire summer. And, you know, watching her just watch it was great. So
It's always wonderful to see that stuff because I feel like that's what's cool about watching movies. Like anytime I've seen a movie that my brother really enjoys, it's cool to see, like that. How much somebody can enjoy something. You know what I mean? And that's always awesome. And me, like, right now, when I talk about it, I don't criticize and demean why people like it or demean the work that people put into it. It's just some things that, like me, as somebody who wants to make movies themselves, there's just some things that I've seen where it's like, oh, man, maybe I wouldn't have done that.
yeah.
Or maybe I would have done something differently. And it's only because I think of those things because, you know, it kind of makes sense. Like, if I were to do this, I think that would be better. But that's just my personal opinion. In the end, as much as I like to think that I base everything I have around, you know, not facts necessarily, but things that I know work, you know, things that I know don't work.
Yeah.
Know? And so, for example, when it comes to Lion King, yeah, I enjoyed watching it because, yeah, who's not going to enjoy... And especially Lion King. You know, Lion King is one of the first movies I watched as a kid that I remember. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was going to the store to Blockbuster and stuff, and trying to. Okay, sorry, I'm a little drunk.
What the fuck?
it's because I didn't drink. I mean, I didn't eat.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like, goddamn, bro.
I haven't eaten all day, and we're drinking right now at 3 p.m. So, but yeah, I remember going to the Blockbuster and always trying to get Lion King, and I got it quite a few times. Like my dad just accepted it as the unfortunate reality of taking your kid to Blockbuster, right? But I really loved that movie, and as a matter of fact, I still have the VHS cover and the movie itself on VHS, and it's like the original super plastic, bad for the environment cover, and it's still there. But yeah. So when I was watching the movie, sure, yeah, like it was amazing. When you revisit something that you have nostalgia for, you're gonna love it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, for example, music itself, which is something that I believe is why Disney's been so successful with their remakes, is that the music itself, you've heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's and music is very powerful. It's a very powerful emotive tool, and so it's gonna tug at your, at your heartstrings. Sorry, I just got like 1,000 notifications on my phone. So I got distracted.
I mean, back to me, because I didn't really have a lot of complaints, but I did think that the voice acting was a little weird. So seeing a lion try to imitate the mouth movements that a human does, it was a little weird. But yeah. I mean, I looked past that and I just watched it for So for what it was, and I enjoyed it, but it definitely was weird.
Yeah, so
it was weird.
So subconsciously, that's something that happens, because, so there's like the uncanny valley, right? The uncanny valley is when you see something that looks realistic, but it does something that's fake, and you're like, "Ugh, I'm freaked out by that." So it's like cats, right? But when it comes to something that's so realistic, like say a lion, and then it's trying to act like a human, trying to emote like a human, but because the animators are so thick, probably from the studio's actual like rules of trying to make sure that everything looks real, um, you see the lions emote but they're not emoting. You know what I mean? Not like the original cartoon.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's one thing that is an actual detriment to Lion King, the remake. That's a full technological, factual detriment. Is that when you're trying to make animals who don't have human-like expressions talk like humans, you're not gonna see the emotional reactions like the way you saw in the original Lion King. And unlike Jungle Book, where Mowgli is still a main character of that story, here the lion is the main character of the story. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
And while it's not as bad as when you go to like say Timon, who he's a meerkat and looks a little bit more humanish, like his reactions look cool, right? Yeah. But when it goes to something like a lion or even Pumbaa, for example, like a lot of the times like the emotions are kind of lost in the realism of it all.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the musical numbers themselves, they're not as inventive as animation, because look, animation itself, there's no boundaries. You know what I mean? You can draw whatever you want. So, for example, when Simba's doing I Can't Wait to Be King, right? That one, when he's doing that one, in the original, you have like all these animals bouncing him around and stuff, and then they come into like a little like a tower where it's like a whole bunch of elephants and then giraffes and then this and that.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Then Simba is on top of them and they're all spinning around and stuff, and then they all like get tangled with each other and start hitting each other by accident and stuff like that. You can't do that in real life. You know what I mean? So whenever you see it in the original, what is Simba doing? He's just jumping on the water and singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the closest he can get to try and like get everybody into the rhythm of the music and songs and all that kind of stuff.
True. I could see where, that you kind of get lost in, watching the live action, because like you said, you can't do that. And, from the original movie, you're kind of expecting that, and you don't really get it, so it kind of falls a little bland or just a little.
And what's interesting is that there's some stuff that the cartoon does where I'm like, you could have done that. I mean, sure, you're trying to be realistic, but you could have, bended the rules of reality just a little bit. Because, for example, in the end of the original, I Can't Wait to Be King, Zazu gets sit on by a rhino, and you're like, Simba, where are you, Simba? And then it cuts to Simba going into the elephant graveyard.
Yeah.
And this one, Zazu just gets like turned around and like mislocates, Simba and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could have still done that. Just, don't kill the bird.
What I mean?
Yeah,
that's true.
Just have the rhino sit on him, and it would be funny. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like being realistic is cool, and if they decided to try and infuse some of the stuff that you could have still done, that would have been better. And then, so obviously, there are things that the movie does that's undoubtedly better than the cartoon. So, for example, when the stampede is going through the gorge, where Simba is there, because he's trying to roar, right?
Yeah, he's trying to learn his roar.
And the stampede is coming down.
Yeah.
There's a shot where it's going over the stampede like that, as the stampede is like going down the hill, and so I'm making movements, but you guys can't see. But the shot that I'm talking about, it's an aerial shot that's moving across the stampede,
and it's right before they fall into the gorge, right?
Yeah, and it's an amazing shot, and that never comes out in the original cartoon, and that's amazing. Like, that's something that they do better. And then even when the hyenas are coming from the cloud of dust or dirt, and they come into vision, and then Scar's like, kill it, like, it's more powerful than the cartoon itself.
Yeah, the part where Scar said, to kill him after he tells Simba, like, hey, look at what you did, like, get out of here, never come back. And then, like, the hyenas come and says, kill him. That was very, like...
Yeah. And it works better in live action because you already know how a cloud of dirt and dust looks like. So when you see these, like, hyenas come out of it, and then, his manner just changes. Kill him, like... it's impactful, you know, in a way that the cartoon itself can't be completely. And so, and not only that, but the final battle, you know, where you have the lions and the hyenas fight, it's actually like more of a battle than the cartoon was, you know. And it's obvious that Disney has learned a lot from not only doing, you know, Marvel movies and all these kind of different movies, but they know about battles now. So it looks cool, you know what I mean? And while it's the same, you know, the monkey in the cartoon also fights, and this one he fights too. It's done better in this movie. But the thing is, the movie does some things better, but the things where it doesn't do better, it does worse. You know, for example, the lions not being able to emote. And while it's easy enough for you to ignore it, it's something that's still like kind of, it's kind of like,
it's there.
Yeah, it's there the whole time. You have to actively like choose to ignore it. You know what I mean? And then what sucks is that the actors themselves, I was surprised. I was imagining that they were going to be way better than the originals, but they're not. You know what I mean?
I think it's because we're used to seeing some of them like as an actor, like in a movie where they play a human. So just hearing their voices wasn't all that great.
So there's something that this voice actor talks about, which is, you know, a lot of people think of voice acting is very easy because you just have to talk in front of a mic instead of actually acting. But the thing is, when you're voice acting, you have to emote through your voice because people can't see your face. And the thing is, you can see it very clearly whenever Nala is talking to Simba in the remake. Nala is talking about like how the Pride Lands have gotten bad and stuff. He's like, and Donald Glover, who voices Simba in this one, he's just like, no, Hakuna Matata. It means don't worry, you know. And you're like, okay, I guess that's okay. Yeah. But then you go to the other one, to the original one where Matthew Broderick played Simba. Matthew Broderick is the. Do you know who Matthew Broderick is?
I don't.
So he's the one. He comes on Godzilla, the original 1990. Well, it's not the original Godzilla, obviously the original, but it's the first one that America made.
Yeah, the one where the Godzilla has a bunch of babies and shit.
Yeah. Okay. He comes out in that one.
Okay.
But when Nala talks to him, he's like, no, it's Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. You know, like it sounds kind of like fake-ish, right? But when you mix it with the animation, you can actually hear the emotion through his voice. Yeah. And so when in live action, if I was doing that, like no, Hakuna Matata, it means no worries. Yeah. Yeah, you would tell me like, okay, tone it down a bit, right? But when it's animation, you need to have that kind of like extra into it because you're not seeing the emotions. Yeah. And so when Donald Glover is giving the lines where it's like, oh, it's Hakuna Matata, it means no worries. Like, it's kind of monotone. And while it would work if you could see the emotions in the lion, so you can catch those little instances where Donald Glover's actually looks like he's being sad. Yeah. They would work, but unfortunately, the lions don't emote that well. And
very true.
You know, that's ultimately my main.
Yeah, if there was one animal that I really enjoyed seeing was Pumbaa. Man, being played by Seth Rogen and just hearing his laugh come through, dude, was fucking hilarious, man. Like, you could ask Steph. I was just, every time he came up, I was just fucking cracking up, man. Because, like, Seth Rogen's, like, iconic laugh. Like, just seeing that coming from a fucking, pig, dude, it was fucking hilarious. Yeah. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, Timon and Pumbaa both.
Yeah, like, dude, they killed it.
My favorite one.
They killed it. Yeah, they definitely killed it.
When it comes to your recasts, Timon and Pumbaa were the best, and after that I would say Scar was the second best. Okay. And then Simba is probably the worst. Nala herself, like, I know why they got Beyonce, because it's Beyonce. She's popular, but she's not as good as the original actress. And the original actress, I mean, I'm not sure if she's black, but she sounds black. and I know that they were going for, like, the not diversity but inclusion and representation, because it takes place in Africa, so you would have all black actors, right? Yeah. For the most part, right? And it makes sense
as far as the lions go.
Yeah, right? As far as the lions go, and it makes sense. But the other person, I need to look up like if she was black or not, because if she wasn't black, oh my god. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're good. Well, while you search for that, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed it. I went in there kind of just like, listening to what everybody was saying and how they didn't like it. and I came out saying like that wasn't as bad as I heard.
Yeah.
So like I still really enjoyed it.
That's
It was fun.
That's one thing I would say. Like, a lot of people were harping on the fact that you can't see the emotions and everything, and it's not as bad as critics are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is still some emotions that you can tell. It's just that because the movie is so inherent on trying to be realistic, inadvertently, that's just the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be as inventive as the original, and
Yeah.
not only that, but when you're doing a shot-for-shot remake,
It was pretty much that, right? A shot for shot.
yeah, for the most part,
Mhm.
and beyond looking at the fact that it looks more real, it doesn't ultimately it doesn't justify its existence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something like, for example, Mulan. If you've seen the new trailer, it doesn't seem like it's not gonna be a musical like
Mhm.
the original Mulan, which kind of sucks because the songs are really good. But the fact that it's going in such a different direction means that it's gonna actually be like an actual remake,
Mhm.
like where they're actually trying to attempt to come at the story from a completely different angle
Yeah.
instead of like Lion King, where it's just a shot-for-shot remake. But at the same token, when you're dealing with something that people have so much nostalgia for, if you do something a little bit too wrong,
It
people,
can backfire.
yeah, it can
Yeah,
backfire.
just
So-
like the Little Mermaid.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so I wouldn't want to be in, yeah, just like the Little Mermaid.
Just like that. Yeah.
We'll talk about that maybe. But yeah, it can backfire tremendously. And what's it called? But look, ultimately, when I'm talking about this, like the movie itself, it's visually amazing.
Yeah,
The
it looks super good.
It looks super good, and the fact that I didn't even know this until I actually researched it, but the movie is 100% CGI.
Yeah, you told me that. I was mind blown.
Yeah.
Mind blown, dude.
Yeah, because everything looks like, obviously, sometimes things look CGI because you can tell, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Pumbaa
Mhm.
or even the lion at times, but like the fact that the environments themselves
Yeah.
are CGI, it's like, what the, I can't believe that. Like it looks amazing. It's technologically amazing.
I mean, the fact that the whole movie's like that, like, how expensive was that? I mean, fucking Game of Thrones didn't want to put Ghost in there a couple more times because he cost too much.
Yeah.
And then you have an entire movie made out of fucking CGI. Dude. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it does make me wonder. And the reason it's expensive is because you got to pay the animators and stuff like that, and you got to pay them by the hour, and you got to. That's what makes it expensive. You know what I mean? Because technically it costs no money, but
Yeah.
because you need people to do it, that's what costs the money. You know.
What
And
was the production value? Do you know? Like, do you know how much they spent?
From what I read, it was like 250, but let me see.
250 what? 250 million?
Yeah. Which is not the most. The most is still Pirates of the Caribbean 3, I think, which was like 350 million.
Yeah.
Which
And
if you see that movie,
Dude, do you know the budget that Game of Thrones had? As far as
it's
like
about 100 million
100 million?
in total, and that's for the 10 episodes together.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
So-
Makes sense why you wouldn't want to put Ghost in there.
Yeah, I see here 250 million, just like I said.
That is crazy, man.
But you see, that's 250 million. They still have to pay for marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
And marketing sometimes is almost double that. So, I mean, the movie could have cost like $500 million, which is insane. But yeah. So yeah. The movie is enjoyable. It's not like you're gonna watch it, you're gonna hate it. It's just, and this kind of actually leads into the question that I wanted to ask, which is, like, I kind of feel like I don't exactly know what the merits are for remaking these movies completely. You know what I mean?
Like a live action?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what's the true justification for it, because, like, beyond the fact that Disney is just proving the fact that the new IP, new intellectual property, which is like a new brand or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They're just proving that new IP is risky,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going back to the well, which is their old IP, and remaking it, republishing it, refurbishing it, and releasing it back to the wild. It's the same thing as, like, when you see remasters for games, like, when it comes to games, you always want to play the best version of the game. So that's kind of what makes sense for a remaster. But for a movie, it's kind of interesting because, especially when it comes to Lion King, it kind of changes parts of the movie. where it's not the same as before. Like for example, even like Scar himself, like when he does the song "The Be Prepared," it's not as long as the original one.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you see. Well, yeah, you've seen it, right?
I mean, I saw it as a kid. All of these movies, I've seen them as kids.
But
as a kid,
the new one, when you saw it, it's more like a chant, right?
Yeah.
It never really truly breaks into a full like sing song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's basically him telling them be prepared. And so when it goes to that, I don't know. My thing is I don't, beyond the fact that you're trying to make money, I don't see the full merit of remaking these movies like shot for shot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I see it is if they're gonna be remaking some of these movies, then it has to be some of them, not all of them, because it looks like they're really gonna go for most of them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a live action's gonna work with a human cast where you actually have
Like
humans
Mulan.
in it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to animals, I think it's very difficult, and I think that's what kind of messes them up.
Yeah.
Trying to get in this case, obviously, remaking Lion King. I think that's very hard because there's going to be things that you just can't do, and people watching it are going to be like what the fuck? Like you can't even tell if the lion's mad.
Yeah.
Like
It's
how
hard.
the fuck you want us to do that, right? Like
Yeah.
so, like I get I get the struggle, but they should just probably stick to just remaking, movies about the princesses and the prince and all that stuff, like because now that we got a Little Mermaid remake coming, like I don't know how they're gonna pull that off and for it to be really good.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, so going back a little bit to Lion King and then going to Little Mermaid, maybe. I actually saw the movie. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. Although it's not original, they bought it for Warner Brothers. It's called Mowgli. I don't know if you see.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
all right. So it's basically Jungle Book, and what you see there is that Andy Serkis, the director, he's actually the one who played Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
You only seen part one, right?
Yeah, I
Recently.
want to see part one.
He comes out like very little. He doesn't really.
In
come
part
out.
one, yeah, he doesn't really come out much.
But he played Gollum. He played Kong in the 2005 King Kong.
Okay.
But he directed Mowgli, and in that one, what he did was that he made the animals have motion capture on their faces.
Oh, okay.
So, and he would just plaster that motion capture, while the animators would plaster that motion capture onto the animals' faces. And admittedly, in some parts, it looks kind of weird because it looks like a human face on an animal, but it's not as scary as like cats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's just like, oh, the panther has a wider face than I would imagine. You know what I mean? Because he has cheeks now.
Yeah.
Not completely like cheeks, but it looks a little weird. But it ultimately it worked because, for example, Shere Khan, he's played by Benedict Cumberbatch. You can see the emotion that he's emoting through the animal, and Shere Khan is such a huge tiger that his face is kind of buried in all that CGI, but you can still see the emotions. And I think that if Disney went that route with their lions in Lion King and with all the animals, where they were actually getting the motion capture from the humans and plastering them onto the lions' faces, but doing it in the way that Disney has tons of money. They can spend an extra $50 million, make it a $300 million movie.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately probably would have helped this live action Lion King.
I guess true realism doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like a movie that comes from Disney.
And it kind of goes into the thing about like remasters, like video games. For example, if you did a remaster of Crash Bandicoot, but you made it look super realistic, or
it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you keep it? Well, you keep it looking like a Pixar movie. You know what I mean? And ultimately, that might have been better for Lion King.
Yeah.
To do a Pixar-ish kind of remake where you have like a full 3D CGI world and it doesn't look as real as it does. But you're still able to do those things and maybe do them in a different way. Maybe that would have worked. But ultimately, I still like the movie. Obviously, it's Lion King. It's not like it's different.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see Aladdin, but I heard that it was better than Aladdin. So
I haven't seen Aladdin, but my brother saw bits and pieces because he serves the movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's not good. He sees a lot of the movies because like
You're obviously a server at Alamo, so
yeah. So, but yeah. So moving on from Lion King because we spent a little bit too much time on that. We also watched Spider-Man. Oh man. So, you want to start with what you thought?
yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed Spider-Man. I watched it alone.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Stephanie was supposed to go watch it because she's supposed to be a huge Spider-Man fan. Which, if you don't want to make time to go watch the movie, then are you really a fan? Good thing she doesn't listen to these.
Does she?
So, overall, it was a really fun movie, and I'm super excited to see where they go with Tom Holland, man. Like, just like the role that he kind of has to take on, or the role that they're kind of like pushing that he's going to take on. It's going to be super exciting to see.
Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about it, and then we'll go into like actual spoilers. So if you guys don't want to listen, I'll tell you right now. But right now it's not spoilers. But yes. Like,
yeah. So
the movie was hilarious and entertaining.
It was,
and it was super fun.
And I like to take the take on Mysterio. So Mysterio was somebody who I wasn't really familiar with as far as like the Marvel Universe goes. Mm-hmm. So seeing him and who he like actually is was, it was interesting, and I really liked his character. I think Jake Gyllenhaal did a really good job.
Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal did a really good job. All of the actors did a really good job, honestly. And where they take Spider-Man, it's a very interesting place. The movie itself is very entertaining, and while it doesn't really do anything different or anything better than other Spider-Man movies, mainly Spider-Man 2 from the Sam Raimi trilogy, it's still a very entertaining MCU film. Now, I'm going to go into spoilers because can't talk about it too much anymore.
Yeah, but if you haven't watched Spider-Man now, go fucking watch it.
yeah.
It's been out for like what?
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
I think 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Do it now.
Yeah, do it now.
But yes. Okay, so going into spoilers now. So, guys, I'll put a time code in the bottom so you know where the spoilers are. All right, so going into spoilers. So, yeah. The very beginning of the movie, like it's singing like the and I'll always love you, and it's just showing like Tony Stark and the pictures of all the dead Avengers and everything. It's just, dude, it was freaking hilarious because like
it was part of like a student news thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's funny because it reminded me of like when I went to high school, I did like a project where I was trying to do like a end of the year video for my high school. The teachers didn't like it. Fuck them.
You told me.
Fuck United teachers. No, not all the United teachers. A lot of the teachers are amazing, but these 3 teachers, they fucking sucked.
Yeah, fuck you, bitches.
and they didn't like my video, even though the students liked the video, which is what's important, that the students like it. But they put this like end of the year video where it was pictures and music in the background, and it was shitty. And
we'll have a rant about that later.
Yeah. It was shitty. And that's exactly what Spider-Man starts out with. Yeah. Like, it's just like a whole bunch of pictures and music, and it's shitty, but it's funny.
Yeah, and it's all about they call it the blimp, right? That's what they call it?
The blip.
The blip.
The blip.
Blip.
B-L-I-P.
Blip.
It sounds weird. I don't know why they just call it this. But I guess they don't know that Thanos actually...
Like they don't know Thanos snapped his fingers. Yeah,
so they call it the blip. Which, I don't know. It's weird. I wonder what blip means on the... Like the actual definition of blip. I'm getting the actual definition of blip, guys. Blip definition. Loading. An unexpected, minor, and typically temporary deviation from a general trend. Sorry. From a general trend. So, okay, that makes sense. It was only 5 years, and it was unexpected. Yeah. It was a minor deviation.
I kind of like the way they picked up a lot of the students who didn't, I guess, disappear. Yeah. Like they aged, so they have that Asian kid who was supposed to be like this scrawny kid, and then like 5 years later he goes.
I don't understand why he's still there.
I mean, he didn't finish school, so.
So how did he not? So he just stopped going to school for 5 years and then went back.
I mean, yeah, half the fucking population disappeared.
Bro, I thought
and it was kind of like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing, no?
Oh, okay.
I mean,
that's where I was confused from. That's where I was confused from. Cause,
I mean, I think
saw
the way
that
I
he
would
was-
see it is like half the people disappeared in the entire world, right? Obviously, it was a huge thing. You know, they show some videos of people
Yeah,
disappearing
yeah.
during a football game or whatever,
Mhm.
and
Oh, that was funny.
yeah, so like, I think it was just like people didn't know what was going on, so it wasn't necessarily a free for all, but structure and like, I guess government and all that just wasn't really
100%.
a worry. Yeah,
yeah.
at that
No,
point.
and what's funny is that there's a shot in the movie where they're showing like a pepper rally, and then all of a sudden like the people from the other pepper rally just blip back, and they're like,
Oh
and
yeah,
everything just goes all
Yeah,
haywire.
yeah, like
and
everything. Yeah.
It's just, oh, it's funny because you have all these band members crashing into each other, and like the cheerleaders crashing into each other, and it's funny. Like,
Yeah, I think that's what I liked about Spider-Man is that it kind of gives you a little bit of insight of like what the world's like after
After the
Infinity
snap,
War.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Endgame.
yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
technically still an Infinity War, but it's
That's
Endgame.
after Endgame,
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like that part.
No, yeah, and I think that the movie really explores, like, kind of like it's trying to explore like how people deal with trying to move on from like a terrible event.
Yeah.
For example, Spider-Man trying to move on from Iron Man, you know,
Mhm.
and he's being asked all these questions of like, hey, what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna be the replacement for Iron Man? You know?
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna be the leader of the Avengers? And he's dealing with all that, but at the same time, he's dealing still with the loss of Tony Stark, his mentor, who is kind of like father figure.
Yeah, and he's still dealing with being a teenager.
Yeah,
You know,
and dealing with-
wanting to be in love, wanting to just go on this fucking vacation and not worry about saving the world.
And what I like about the fact that they make, so there's some people who don't like the comedy in the movie because they think that it makes light of the fact that Tony Stark died. But I like the comedy, especially like in the beginning when they have that stupid student presentation.
Yeah, because I mean it's a movie about kids essentially.
Yeah, and not just that, but it shows different ways to mourn.
Mhm.
You know, some people mourn in a very sad way. Some people mourn in a very, like, at least for us, like, the next best thing to do is to laugh about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not laugh about the fact that Tony died, but like, you know, it's just like,
Man, still thinking about that scene breaks my heart.
yeah,
Fuck.
yeah, it does. It does.
No, but I mean, I guess where people could like, I think they were expecting a little bit something more serious, something where you see, Peter Parker, struggling more with PTSD and not so much of like being in love and trying to,
Yeah. I personally
tell her.
feel like they had like a kind of like a tightrope to walk, and they walked it, in my opinion, pretty well.
Yeah.
Where he was sad at moments, but at the same time he wants to he wants to be a kid. He wants to fall in love.
He wants to live his life, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, he was going on a badass vacation with a girl that he really likes. Like, I think that's what I liked about it more. It was more real as far as like what he wanted and not necessarily what he needed to do.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I totally agree with that because Quentin Beck, Mysterio, he basically represents that completely. Somebody who does what he wants to do instead of like curtailing to like what the Avengers or Shield in this case demands. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, Quentin Beck kind of like replaces like Tony Stark in a way. You know what I mean? As a mentor.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, because in the beginning, you definitely get that vibe from him.
Yeah.
You know, that he's there to guide him.
Yeah, that he's there to guide Spider-Man, and Tony Stark himself is also somebody who did what he wanted, and in a sense, Spider-Man does what he wants to, or he has that mindset that he wants to do what he wants to do. But what's interesting is that Spider-Man himself, like what he wants to do, is very innocent, very. Oh, excuse me.
Being a kid.
Yeah. He just wants to. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Beer is
So
coming up.
just a little update. So me and Albie were drinking before we get back into Spider-Man. We were drinking the Game of Thrones beer for the throne, and we just busted it out because we're like, hey, what are we drinking today? Didn't really have much to drink, so I was like, oh, I got this Game of Thrones beer. Let's just bust it out. Little did we know that it was 9.5% alcohol. So,
So I'm kind of fucked up.
well, he's fucked up. I just know that it was now that I see it, it's definitely on the stronger side. And
It's because I'm not an alcoholic. Nah. No.
you're
So
weak sauce, man. You drink
also-
like you probably like Smirnoffs and like wine coolers and shit.
I didn't eat. Haven't eaten today, so that's
Yeah,
another
that
thing.
probably does not help. But yeah, back to Spider-Man. In the beginning, we weren't talking about spoilers, but now that we are, we can kind of go a little bit more into it.
Yeah. So
Uh,
obviously, Mysterio was the bad guy.
oh, okay. So we're going in order because
Okay.
I was just gonna talk about what I talked about first. Just the direction that they're taking.
Oh yeah.
Peter Parker.
Uh-huh.
Dude, I just really see him eventually becoming the leader of the Avengers, man. Like I see him stepping into Tony Stark's shoes, not fully,
No, I do.
but
I
like
see
his
that.
own version of Tony Stark, and I'm super fucking excited to see him take that on, man.
Yeah, because you see the potential for leaders. I would say
Yeah.
Captain America, he's old now.
Yeah.
Thor, he's not there.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
Wherever the fuck she's at.
She's always not there.
Somewhere,
in a sense,
yeah.
right? She's always in space, right? Tony Stark is dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be Hawkeye. It's not gonna be Black Widow's dead.
I
Also.
mean, what do you think of Hulk?
I think I think he's gonna be that kind of mentor where he's like kind of like the uncle. You know what I mean? Or like the grandpa. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like he's helping them along,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not gonna be the leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's gonna be like just like the cool uncle in a sense.
Yeah.
Because he wants to. Yeah. I feel like he's not somebody who's claiming who wants to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
None of these Avengers ever want to be in the spotlight. They just kind of take on that role.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what Spider-Man is doing. Is
I
he's
see
falling
him.
into
Yeah,
that role.
dude. Fuck. When he put on the glasses for the first time, what are they called? What's her name? The artificial intelligence.
Edith. I think?
Edith. Yeah. And it was like even dead, I'm still.
I'm still the hero.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Even in death, I'm still the hero. Something like that.
So like when I saw him put those on and just kind of seeing him, hit rock bottom after he got his ass whooped the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and then him kind of realizing that he just needs to start acting like an adult for the most part and just do it, and seeing where he's eventually going. Like I don't know how long they'll keep Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but I'm assuming it's gonna be for a couple more movies.
So
I see him stepping into the big dog role.
What's
man.
interesting is that this movie is supposed to mark the end of Sony's and Marvel's initial agreement, this is the 6th movie that he's Spider-Man in. Because he's
6 movies.
Yeah, because he was Spider-Man in Civil War,
Okay.
then in Homecoming, then in Infinity War, then Endgame, then this one. Okay, so I think it was just 5 movies that he was supposed to be
Yeah.
Spider-Man. And so this marks the end of the initial agreement, and supposedly they already signed on for more movies. But supposedly one of the restrictions
Mhm.
was that if this movie didn't make more than $1 billion, Sony would take the rights back. But the movie right now is at 935 million, so
it'll probably get there.
Yeah, it'll probably get to $1 billion. But also, it's like, I mean, is Sony gonna do any better? No.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's right.
So yeah, it does seem like he's definitely gonna be a fixture of the MCU going forward at least for Phase 4.
Yeah,
Who knows about Phase 5 and 6, but it would be cool if he was part of Phase 5 and 6. But yeah, I'm really excited to see because like I really do feel like Kevin Feige, when he first talked about Spider-Man, he talked about how he wanted to make it like a Harry Potter movie where every single time we saw Spider-Man, it was a new year in high school.
yeah,
And I think you're gonna see him. He's slowly becoming Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Instead of being the boy that he is right now.
Spider Boy.
Yeah, Spider Boy. And but that's completely kind of almost guaranteed with what happens in the end of the movie, which is when JK. So spoiler alert. Well, I already told you guys spoilers, but still, if you're here, spoiler alert even more. J.K. Simmons, who played the original J. Jonah Jameson in the first 3 Spider-Man movies, comes back as J. Jonah Jameson in this movie.
Do you think that's any indication that it's taking place in the same universe? I doubt it, right? Because
No,
there
but-
wouldn't be two Spider-Mans.
But what's interesting is that somebody asked the director, "Is this any indication that there is a multiverse, and that even though Mysterio is just lying about it,
Mm-hmm.
like, is there still multiverse?" He's like, "I don't know."
Well, you see, because I heard that there was like kind of like plans to eventually make a Spider-Verse where they would bring back like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
That's what people want. It's not any in the plans, but that's what people want.
That'd be fucking dope.
That would be amazing
Yeah.
if they were able to have like a Spider-Verse live action.
Yes.
You know, where you have Tobey Maguire, you have Andrew Garfield, and you have Tom Holland fighting. And you see, I was telling my brother, like, with Mysterio being dead, right? I don't think he is dead. I think it's quite obvious that he's still probably alive. You know what I mean? I feel like, in order, with Mysterio and Vulture and Scorpion also being part of the mix, like, they're obviously going towards the way of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Spider-Man is by himself, he might get help from, you know, Tobey Maguire,
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, those Spider-Man, you know, to fight against,
Mm-hmm.
you know, these villains. Who knows? Maybe that might happen. Maybe that might not happen. I really hope it does.
Yeah, that'd be super dope.
That would be amazing.
That'd be super dope.
But yeah, the movie. So, the movie is very fun. It's very entertaining, and the movie does stick on that for the most part. It sticks on being fun. It sticks on being entertaining, and it doesn't go too deep on the relationship. It doesn't go too deep on him being Spider-Man. But for me, it goes deep enough. Right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's still not as good as Spider-Man 2, which to me is one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Remind me
But-
of Spider-Man 2 was about what?
So Spider-Man 2 is Spider-Man 2 it's
Is it the one with Sandman?
No. It's the one with Dr. Octopus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so what's really cool about Spider-Man 2 is that at that point Spider-Man doesn't want to be Spider-Man, kind of like this one. you know, he doesn't want to be Spider-Man because he's been saving people all this time, and he hasn't had time to continue being who he is as a person, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to get straight A's in college and become the person that he wants to be in terms of a regular job and all that kind of stuff. And also just spend more time with Mary Jane. And slowly he's seeing that because he's not spending time with Mary Jane, she's like, I mean,
Kind of drifting.
yeah, drifting away.
Mhm.
And it shows that in the fact that she gets engaged to, you know, by this other dude who's
Mhm.
actually J. Jonah Jameson's son, you know,
Okay.
who's an astronaut and stuff like that, and also his friend Harry, you know, he's drifted away too because he feels like Peter knows something about Spider-Man and the Goblin, you know what I mean, and then Dr. Octopus himself, being played by Alfred Molina, he's like a mentor to Peter, but he becomes Dr. Octopus, and he kind of like
It's kind of like the game.
yeah, there's that whole dichotomy, like, yeah, it's just like the PS4 game.
Yeah.
There's that whole dichotomy of like, this is my mentor, yet he's a villain, and
Mhm.
now I have to like defeat him, you know, because he's being controlled by, you know, these robotic arms and stuff. But unlike that original one where Dr. Octopus fully falls into the temptation of the arms and stuff, here Dr. Octopus is trying to do what he's doing because he feels like he was in the right. He feels like he was doing something right. And unfortunately, his wife was part of like the casualties in that sense. But he really wants to. So it just creates an interesting dichotomy because you have Spider-Man not wanting to be Spider-Man, but everything that's happening around him shows him that he needs to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If there's no Spider-Man, then who's there to save those people?
Yeah.
You know, who's there to help these people?
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I mean, you kind of get that sense in Spider-Man Far From Home.
It's true, but in the original, he learns that his power from Spider-Man, because he feels like it's his powers that give him Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he learns that his powers are not what make him Spider-Man. It's he himself that makes him Spider-Man. It's the fact that he makes the choices that he does, that he chooses to help people. That's what makes him Spider-Man, not his powers.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And that's how he gets his powers back, because he loses his powers like halfway through the movie, but that's because he doesn't believe in himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I really feel like this movie doesn't go too deep into that, obviously, but I feel like Kevin Feige, kind of like Harry Potter, he's taking kind of like the longer approach.
Mhm.
You know, slowly but surely molding him into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm still like open-minded in that sense of like, okay, let's see the other movies and let's see how he develops more into Spider-Man. You know, if the movies stay like this, where it's just entertaining and doesn't delve too much into Spider-Man, they'll still be great, but they'll never be as good as like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Considering how the movie ends, you know, his identity kind of being, you know, thrown out there. Now everybody knows who he is.
World.
Yeah. Where do you see the next movie going?
So that's interesting because there's like 3 different ways I feel in my mind. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 supposedly takes place only 6 months after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which in MCU time is one day after the other, right? And so I'm thinking that Spider-Man 2 might do the same thing because if these other movies in the MCU are completely disconnected, then they'll have the leeway to say like, oh, okay, the second Spider-Man movie takes place like in this time period and whatnot. I'm assuming that that's the route that they're gonna take because I would imagine that if you're gonna end your movie on that kind of cliffhanger, where now everybody knows that he's Spider-Man, that's gonna be a part of part 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's going to be like the main part of the story. Now,
because that's the way it ended, right? I mean,
now it could be like part 1 where Aunt May finds out that he's Spider-Man, and then in this sequel, they don't really explore that at all. Like she's just like, okay.
No, I mean,
with the fact that he's Spider-Man.
I just don't see how they'll do that because it looks like in the current time period, everybody still loves Mysterio. Everybody still knows who he is, and the fact that Mysterio put that video out of like Spider-Man killing him or being the reason he died, I don't think they're just gonna pick up like everybody's okay with it.
Yeah. I really hope they don't. I really don't think they would. I mean, a smart, person wouldn't do that. And I feel like the next movie is gonna explore like, okay, so how do we make it so people don't know that he's Spider-Man? You know, so like, you're gonna have Peter Parker like, he's gonna be Peter Parker and he's gonna be like in the crowd and maybe somebody else. It's gonna like technically be Spider-Man or something like that. So in that sense, they could actually explore stuff like in the Ben Reilly comics where you have a Spider-Man copy and he's actually a clone of Peter Parker and he thinks he's Spider-Man and Spider-Man has to tell him that he's not Spider-Man because he's a clone of him and it goes more into. But yeah, I really do think that's gonna be the facet of the next movie, which is it's gonna deal with that and that makes me think that the next movie might come out before the next Avengers movie comes out.
You think so? So before the next Avengers, we'll have another Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
I think so. I don't know if you heard, but Taika Waititi, who made the first, well, not the first, but made Thor 3, right? I was gonna say he made the first Thor 3. It's the only Thor 3. When he made Thor 3, and Thor Ragnarok was awesome, right? He was gonna direct Akira, I think it's what it was called, for Warner Brothers, which was an anime. In the same vein as like Alita Battle Angel, but they delayed it, so now he's making Thor 4, and so yeah, I think somewhere around there, Spider-Man 3 might come out before Avengers, because I know the rumor is that the next Avengers is gonna be called the Young Avengers, and then it's gonna be the New Avengers, and then the third one in Phase 6 is going to use the old moniker of like the Avengers, because it's going to be all these new people coming in, over the course of this next 10 years.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
But yeah, Spider-Man is really great, really fun. You guys should watch it. Moving on.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Toy Story 4. Did you like it or did you not like it?
I liked it, but it just didn't. To me, it wasn't as heartfelt or as, I guess, fun as part 3. I still love part 3 way more. Yeah, I mean, watching Toy Story 4, yeah, it was cool, but nobody believes me, but I predicted, that, spoilers, that Woody was going to become a lost toy. Like, I knew
Which
that...
is crazy, because I never thought that would happen.
Like, I said it in my head, and I usually, when I make predictions, I like to write them down, because then Stephanie's not going to believe me that I predicted it. I didn't write this one down, but I knew he was going to become a lost toy.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if that killed the rest of the movie for me, because it's not kind of what it's about anyways. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong, it was great. Just not as, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I felt like this was like part 2 of the end. You know what I mean? Like Toy Story was like part 1 of the end.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, the child is going away, and
Mhm.
now it's like, okay, the parent needs to move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the first one, the child moved on. Now it's the parent that needs to move on.
Mhm.
Woody is kind of like the parent in this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but
And-
I think so is Buzz. I mean,
Yeah. No,
I feel like both of them needed to go in a different direction.
You see, I feel like with Buzz telling Woody, like, you know, she'll be okay
Mm-hmm.
in the end, I felt like that's kind of like, you know,
A little powerful.
yeah, because like I feel like, you know,
I mean, Woody's always been that guy who wanted to make sure that the kid was always, happy.
and not just that, but I feel like it kind of goes deeper. I mean, maybe it's just because I've experienced this, but I feel like, you know, Woody and Buzz are kind of like mom and dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To Andy
Uh-huh.
and to the girl, to the little girl, Bonnie. And I feel like when Buzz is telling Woody like she'll be okay, it's like, you know, it's, you know, when parents, so a lot of times parents stay together, you know,
For the kid.
for the kids.
Yeah.
And then when they separate, you know, they separate. But I feel like when Buzz tells Woody that, that's kind of like, you know, the mom or the dad telling the mom or dad, like, you know, she'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, you can go off and do what you feel like you need to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's ultimately the point of Toy Story 4. It's like the first one, Toy Story 3 was about the child moving on, and then this one is about the parents moving on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in that sense, Buzz is kind of like the mom or the, I don't know. It depends on how your story is, but
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least for me, it's like it's the mom telling the dad like, "Don't worry, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, you can go off and do
Mhm.
what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll still be here. You know."
Yeah, I think what drew me into like saying like, oh, he's gonna become a lost toy, was that Bonnie didn't play with him anymore to begin with, right? And then he talks about losing what's her name, Bo Peep.
Bo Peep, yeah.
Yeah, and then like kind of like what she meant to him, and then turns out that she's still around, and he ends up encountering her again, but yet he's so worried about Forky because he knows that Bonnie loves Forky so much, right? So like his mission is just to make her happy, but then like in the beginning he's not being played with, so he knows that he, I guess, should move on, or he has to move on because he's like all the fucking toys played, and then he was like the one who got left in the closet.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where I came to the prediction.
To the trash.
And then I guess the other point, what not necessarily disappointing, but something I was looking forward to is just another villain. I don't think Gabby, I think her name was a true villain.
Because that's what I enjoyed about part 4 is that I feel like a lot from part 3 was too much of well, I mean, they've all been villains that are not villains, but I feel like this one was really cool because she wanted to be that perfect toy for that child, whoever it was, and have that perfect moment. You know what I mean? And the fact that that's what her goal was just ended up kind of like coming in conflict with what other toys' goals were, which is like, hey, I need to be here for this kid here.
Yeah.
Not your kid,
Yeah.
but my kid. You know what I mean? I kind of like to see that she wasn't a true villain in that sense. She was more like a misunderstood figure. You know what I mean? And that they were able to help her to realize that it's more than just your voice. You know what I mean? Or your perfection.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like what she's trying to aim for. She's kind of like, I need to be perfect.
Yeah, because
for the child.
Pretty much like her exterior is all perfect. It's just her voice box is fucked.
Yeah, her voice box.
I guess it's interesting that you say that. Kind of not solves, but kind of makes me think differently of what I previously said. Now that you kind of put it in that aspect, still doesn't change my overall opinion. But I mean, it's a great point. It's definitely a great point, and it makes me look at it a little differently now.
Yeah. No, yeah, and ultimately, I think Toy Story 4 shows that while Pixar has had its ups and downs, they're still very much like in the top when it comes to animated films.
I think so.
I mean, like,
I think so because I can't think of another animated film that
yeah,
I've really enjoyed.
because even recently, like Illumination, DreamWorks, well, DreamWorks, How to Train Your Dragon 3 was really great.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
you gotta watch that. It's
Yeah.
really freaking great. Yeah, but Illumination and all those.
What was it, like Pets 2 or something?
Yeah, it was Pets 2, Despicable Me 3, and
The only
like,
reason I love Despicable Me 3 is because my nephews would always watch it. So like
Oh,
that's a
okay.
movie I'm always going to remember because like every time we'd take care of them, they'd come over.
I've only
We would
watched
watch that fucking movie.
I've only watched part 2 in Minions. I love part 2
Man,
because it was so funny.
yeah.
Minions wasn't that great.
Dude, what makes those movies for me are the fucking Minions, dude. The Minions are
What are they?
hilarious, dude.
They are
They
hilarious.
are
They are
hilarious,
hilarious.
man. Like, I'm not in it so much for the story or whatever. It's just to see those little fuckers, dude. They're hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
I love them so much. Yeah.
All right, so cool. So very quickly, the next one, Midsommar. We watched Midsommar.
Yeah.
WTF? That's all I have to say.
What the fuck? Yeah, definitely. What the fuck? Yeah, man. I mean, I think the only fucking word to describe that movie is
WTF.
what the fuck.
Well-
I mean, so I'll tell you this. So, some of the most. So okay, well, let me start off by saying that I've seen some pretty fucked up videos, of beheadings and like shit like that. Yeah. Don't look at me like that, So, seeing this. Seeing this movie and seeing how realistic the gore was, especially when they're getting pushed.
911. Yeah. I got a guy here who's seen beheadings. No, I'm sorry.
Like, it's some of the most realistic gore I've ever seen, man. Like, the first one, she jumps from the top and fucking face plants into that rock, and you just see her face split open, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
it's disturbing
shit,
as hell.
man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I think something that the movie has going for me is just, the rawness of everything, man. Like, the old people dying, jumping off the cliff, the man landing on his feet, and then, like, his bones coming through. And just the fucking opening scene, dude.
Yeah.
The opening scene of, like, how the sister killed herself and
Yeah.
killed her parents. She fucking hose, like, fucking taped to her mouth with the carbon, I guess, like, it's a monoxide coming out.
Carbon monoxide from the car. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like, that was fucking insane.
Yeah,
man.
it was. Yeah, it's funny that you talk about like just,
Unsettling.
like, the realness of like how everything looks. It goes into the performances as well. Like especially in the beginning when she finds out that like her sister died. When she calls her boyfriend boyfriend's like, "Hey, what's up?" And you just
dude,
hear like,
yes, dude, yeah. It's not just like crying. Regular crying where you would expect just like my parents. No, dude, it was like fucking mourning, dude. Like it was. Fuck, dude. You made that noise and it reminds me of that scene where when he gets that call, dude.
Yeah.
And holy shit, man. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Florence Pugh, who plays the main character, when she cries like that, like it's just like you can't help but feel like sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, she's just lost everything, and she acts it so brilliantly. She shows that like when you're sad. And when you cry, it's not always so simple as like,
Yeah.
It's like you make weird noises and everything.
You could tell she was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what she showed us, that she was in pain.
Yeah.
That, oh, man. Shit, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, as far as Midsommar goes, all the actors freaking like
great job.
They're all really good. I mean, even to the minor actors, like you have the dude who's trying to tell the boyfriend like to just like forget her and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's a really good actor, and what he does, the small bits that he does in the movie, it's pitch perfect.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think something I liked about the movie, because I came back home and I read about it, just trying to get a little bit more research.
His name is Will Porter. There you go.
Will Porter? Is he's the kid who looks like the kid from Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I know who you're talking about.
He was actually gonna. Sorry, he was actually gonna be Pennywise at one point.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But scheduling conflicts. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So, so I came home and I did some research about it, and what I really like, what made this movie, one of, my favorites, is just that in one point in time, all the things you saw there, the practices, the people jumping off the cliffs and like the dinners and the like the weird feast and the taking of the psychedelic drugs and shit, like that was an actual thing. So like the director, I read that when he did research into the movie, he found all this out, through his research and like looking into like Switzerland and like the people who used to live in Switzerland and stuff. Like it's more real than you think. Like all these things actually happened. The mallet they used to finish off the old people when they jump off, that's an exact replica of a mallet that they have in a museum in Switzerland that was used for the same purpose.
Yeah.
So that to me was fucking insane. Like I was just like, holy shit, to know that this could have actually happened. Well, this did happen.
Yeah, and you see, for me, like I kept trying to think about, okay, what was the movie saying? Because I was so freaking confused by the ending.
Yeah.
Which is, spoiler alert. Obviously, this whole movie is kind of like a spoiler because it's, just everything just much stuff happens.
There's not really much to look for. There's no hidden meaning or anything like that. It's straightforward.
Well, yeah. The movie is straightforward, but in the end, it gets to the point where like her boyfriend is. He's burning and he's in a bear costume and you're like, and they're saying like all the sins are burning away and the worst of you is burning away, and I'm thinking like, what are they trying to say? And then like the more I thought about it, I started realizing like, oh, I get it now. Like if you think about it, like her boyfriend, so it's weird, but like her boyfriend is never fully
her boyfriend,
it's never fully her boyfriend. So like even when she's crying in the beginning, he's holding her and she's like, her face is down there, and he's holding her and he's like trying to comfort her and everything, but like
it doesn't seem genuine. Like he feels like you feel like he's forced. Like he feels like he's forced to be like, fuck, I gotta deal with this shit.
Exactly. And then you go into the movie itself. Later on in the movie, he takes on this drug and he becomes kind of like psychedelic and everything, and he's trying to look at her, but like he can't look at her, and he looks away and stuff, and he looks at the girl who's been looking at him the whole time since the beginning of the movie, and then he ends up going have sex with her and everything, right?
Dude. But was that sex scene not some of the most bizarre shit you've ever seen?
Yes,
dude, it was fucking crazy.
What's crazy is that the actor talks about like how he personally liked it because he felt like the movie was kind of showing like how the male
it's kind of like a swapped position, right? Now not necessarily the female being uncomfortable, but now it's the guy.
It's the guy being uncomfortable. And it's freaking
uncomfortable. When that old lady comes from behind him, she's like like pushing him, like, what the fuck, man? That's right. So something else I appreciated about the movie, I've never taken psychedelics ever, of any sort, but reading into the movie, the director said that the way you see psychedelics, or the way you see them like reacting to psychedelics, that's almost the most accurate, like, I guess, representation of like when you actually take it. Like some people think you see some crazy shit, like fucking, I don't know, this bottle talking to you or whatever, but it's more of just like everything's more vibrant, everything's like kind of like wavy and shit. Like that is the most accurate, what would you say? The most accurate representation of you taking a fucking psychedelic.
Yes.
And I thought that was super cool. That they talked to many people trying to get it right, and that's where they landed.
So going back to what I was saying about the guy, he's always disconnected from the girlfriend, and so when he's burning away in that bear costume, that's like a visual representation of like her burning away what kind of like held her back. And when she smiles in the end, she smiles because it's like
she's moved on.
She's no longer held back, and she has a new family with all these
fucking weirdos.
And it makes you wonder how they accumulated their family. Maybe it's through all this weird stuff.
It's probably through the same process.
Probably.
Because don't they talk about inbreeding and how it's not like, how they're still not for it or something like that?
Yeah, they're not for inbreeding, which is why they have her boyfriend have sex with the redhead, because he's from outside the world. He's not part of that family.
So them being so big but yet not inbreeding, like it only leads you to believe that they've done this before, to where in order to grow their population or their you know,
Yeah.
their little village, you know, they bring in people like this.
Short and to the point, it's one of the weirdest, disturbing movies of all time.
Yeah, but you all need to check it out.
Yeah,
you know?
you need to.
If you're not good with gore, then you know maybe this movie isn't for you. But if you don't mind that, watch it because it's definitely something else. I don't think I've ever seen a movie just like this one.
It's definitely something else. All right, guys. So that's it. End of the podcast. It's over. Bye bye. Nah, it's fine. No. So yeah, that's all the movies we've seen. That's all the trailers we've seen. That's all the other types of movies we've seen. It's a lot of stuff. I got a little drunk, so I might not be making complete sense. But but yeah, we've watched and seen a lot of stuff, and you know, the summer season has been really good for movies for the most part.
Yeah,
like,
it has.
Like it's not been disappointing at all and stuff like that, and you know, this kind of comes to the end of our podcast because we've been talking to nobody for an hour. So yeah.
Yes. Something to look forward to. Hopefully in the future. We're looking to get an Instagram up, a Twitter up. So when we do, make sure to let you all know so y'all can follow us on there. Something super exciting that I'm going to try to incorporate into our podcast is a monthly beer. Now, this monthly beer is something that I'm going to be making personally on my kitchen stovetop. You know, fermenting myself, bottling myself.
And who's I? Just so the audience knows.
Carlos?
Carlos
Yeah.
Medellin.
Yeah, Carlos.
AKA KM of Alamo Draft House Laredo. AKA.
Shut the fuck up. Anyways, it'd be really exciting to brew up a beer every month and have something to taste here on the podcast. You know, something that me, Albie, and hopefully if we get a third, you know, special guest, something we try out and, you know, get some feedback on it. Y'all can see some pictures. I can give it a cool name or something. Yeah. But so something exciting to look forward to in the future of Beer Break.
Yeah, and also while this Beer Break doesn't have any video, we will have video soon. I'm looking to buy a camera soon. Technical restrictions and things that I've been facing with is the reason why we don't have a camera right now, but we will have one soon.
Yeah, Juan was also our cameraman, so when he left, the camera left.
Yeah, so there it goes. All right, well, this has been Beer Break number something. I don't know what it was. It's going to be in the title anyway, so you guys are going to see. Yeah, probably, I don't know, 12, 15, 20. Nah, it's like, no, it's been probably like 4 or 5. I don't know. But that's it for the Beer Break of this week. And it's
thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you guys want, you can follow us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Hopefully soon. Also follow us on iTunes through the podcasts app that they have, and also on Spotify eventually. And that would be all. This is me, Albie, and Carlos signing off for today. So, bye, guys.
See you.
Yeah, bye.